right down to the finish. Baker Mayfield and the Bucs, C.J. Stroud and the Texans in the early spot on Monday Night Football. First quarter, Texans drive right down the field. Dominique, look at the toe tap by Nico Collins.
Pass and the catch are ridiculous. The receivers are getting so good in the NFL. This feels like so impossible. The coverage isn't bad. It's just tough.
Live action, it didn't look like there was any chance that ball was in bounds. Bucs down 10-7 late in the half. How good is Emeka Egbuka?
Oh, my God. The speed and how he sees the field, it just opens up to go score. He's been special so far.
Early candidate for Rookie of the Year. He's got 3 touchdowns. Now, Texans early fourth quarter on a 4th and goal. Looks like C.J. Stroud has a chance for Collins here.
He throws it up. He tries to give him a chance, throws it out of bounds. That is extremely good coverage by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, though.
3.5 minutes to go. Texans down 14-13, but here comes Jayden. He's got some space after a weekend in which we saw a lot of big returns. Here's a huge one down to the 26. Flag on the play picked up. Great field position, Texans, and it leads to Nick Chubb. Texans take the lead.
Yeah, Nick Chubb still got something in the tank. That's speed. Can't go wrong if you run the ball.
They go for the 2. They don't get it, so it's 19-14. Second consecutive week. Baker's Bucs have a chance at a late drive. Look at him avoiding trouble on 4th and 10.
Unreal. Put it in Baker's and shake and bake. Let him show you what he's got, baby.
Look,
and he's been banged up early. Still goes and converts this 4th down. Incredible play.
He looked dead to rights at the beginning of that play. A minute left. Bucs 2nd and 2 at the 45. Here comes Bucky Irving.
Yeah, Bucky Irving was special. You can't tackle him. Oh, the cutback and still going, bouncing off of him. He really put them in position to win this game.
Again, they had that great game-winning drive at the end of the game against Atlanta. Then they do it again last night. This is Mike Evans takes them inside the 10. Mike Evans still doing it. 9 seconds left, and here goes Rachaad White. Touchdown, ball game, clutch game-winning drive for Baker and the Bucs. They win it 20-19, and so they are 2-0 with 2 last-second wins. And so the question to me is a pretty simple one. The answer may not be. I feel like yesterday we had a conversation about the big dogs in the NFC. It's Green Bay, it's Philadelphia, it's Detroit. Should Tampa Bay be in that conversation?
They're right there, right on the cusp of it. I don't have them in that same tier as those top teams. For one, they're still not healthy. So I look at this team, and I would call them a resilient one. They're finding ways, you just talked about in week 1 and week 2, to finish games at the very end and find a way to win. That is without Tristan Wirfs. That's without McMillan. That's without Chris Godwin. All of these guys they don't have. I think that is a huge deal.
He's giving you every reason they should be in there. That's why they should. They had 2 new tackles playing less and still find ways to win. This team is definitely in that same group. They've gone on the road against 2 good teams, beat them at their place. Again, coming back in the 4th quarter, you got to put them in that same category.
This is a team that's won the division 4 years in a row.
Yeah.
They always are in the playoffs. So they have the experience and they have the talent. And you're right, they're going to get healthier.
Yeah.
Tristan Wirfs will come back, and the whole offensive. They're playing their starting center at left tackle, and they're 2-0.
Respect.
Right.
I love it. I love it. That's 2 weeks in a row, guys.
We're going to find something out about them. They get the Jets this week. That may not be a huge test. We'll see. But then they get the Eagles in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So when the Eagles go there September 28th, that will be an
No, I think it's going to be a huge test for the Eagles, too. Like, the way that they're playing up front, their ability to run the ball, it seems like that's separated a few different teams in the league right now. There are some teams that can run the ball on early downs and some that can't. It wasn't easy for them last night against that great defense, but when they needed plays, they made those plays with running backs.
All right, so when the Monday night doubleheader wraps up week 2 for us, that means it's in the books and we've got big stories coming out of it. Coming up, so social media loses its collective mind, conflict of interest. We all understand how these conversations go. What can you tell us, Dan, about what the rules are?
Well, I mean, first of all, like if he's part owner of the team, like if he wants to talk to the coaches, like that it was made clear when he bought whatever percentage of the team, 10% of the team, that he was going to be involved in the operations of the team. So that's not a surprise. The issue, of course, that people are raising is he's also the lead, broadcaster on Fox's Sunday games.
Right.
And in that capacity, he gets to go to production meetings, which are, behind the scenes, off the record conversations with coaches and players ahead of the game to help the broadcast crew know what's going on during the game. And he gets to go to practices. Now, the league put some rules in last year that because of his association with the Raiders, he couldn't do a normal schedule that a broadcaster would do. But even this year, they've relaxed some of those rules. So it doesn't feel like, even though there are people around the league that complain about this, it doesn't feel like the league's interested in doing anything about it, resolving that conflict of interest issue. He's also way overdressed for the coaching. like that's the other thing, right? Like he looks out of place up there.
My understanding is that he attends those meetings with the coaches during the week virtually, meaning he's not actually in the building and he doesn't attend the practices. So there are some rules that remain in place for him. His first year, he wasn't allowed to speak to them at all. So there's that. Let's dive into whether this really is a thing or not. Like we live in a world now where we make everything into such a big deal. You do games every single week. How much information do you get, would you say you get from those conversations that if you wanted to be clear, you never would do this, but if you wanted to use them for the benefit of another team, how much of it could you actually?
It's such a tough question because it's so different depending upon the coach. But in those meetings, you are fully discussing what the team is going on that week, specific to a single game. So you may get into what players are available for the game that given Sunday. You may get into a little bit of what your philosophy is going into that game. So you do get a lot of information that if you went out and just spread it out, it would be very difficult for those teams. That's why those meetings are very different than when a head coach stands up at a podium and answers questions from a reporter. That is a more relaxed setting that you can let your guard down some. But at the same time, most head coaches, when they walk into that meeting, they still understand you're a part of the media, and they're not going to tell you their entire game.
I totally, and we're not saying Brady would do this either, right?
Yes.
We're not trying to accuse you. It's a bad look. And it's awkward for coaches, and it's not just the coaches. They talk to players, and players aren't always as guarded, especially with other players. Like you're sitting around talking ball. It's all of those things, and it's okay. It's a little bit okay now because the Raiders aren't very good yet, right? Pete Carroll's just getting there. They're trying to get it. Let's say they start leading the AFC West, and they start becoming the number one, and he's calling their games. It just becomes very sticky, in my opinion, the way it looks. And I'm not saying Brady's doing anything wrong. No. He's following the rules, but and they have the same tailor. Y'all both look sharp today. But it's just that thing for me.
Let me give a hard, concrete example of this. Next week, this coming week, Tom Brady is scheduled to do the game between the Cowboys and the Bears.
Right.
The following week, the Bears play the Raiders.
Yeah.
So he is, in theory, going to be talking to the Bears coaches this week, asking whatever it is he asks. They'll tell him whatever it is they tell him. And then the following week, they're playing the team of which he is the part owner. That's why people, I think, are making a big deal of this.
Yeah, and I don't think it matters whether there's, I understand what J-Mac was saying, that there's not a lot of information and the coaches are guarded, but sometimes the players aren't as guarded. I don't think it matters whether they're guarded or not. The thing is, you do not want the perception, the opportunity for any impropriety. And if you are going to take this risk, I would think that you would take this risk because the benefit was so great. In that case, it doesn't seem to line up necessarily that he's either such a great owner that he can't walk away from that, or such a great broadcaster that he has to also be an owner, or they just let him show up and talk and do the games. I would be upset or uncomfortable if I were a player on it.
I think that's a key point. You went to journalism school.
Yeah.
They taught about avoid the appearance of impropriety.
Right.
Even if you are fundamentally ethical, if someone on the outside can look and say, well, that doesn't make sense, he shouldn't be doing that in that role and also that role, that offers the possibility for an abuse of one or the other. So I'm surprised, honestly, that the NFL hasn't been more concerned about this. You do hear it again from other teams, from coaches of other teams. Like, is this all right? But it does not seem like something anybody wants to actually do.
Can I just tell you how paranoid coaches are? So my first year I retired. I worked for ESPN and I worked for the Colts for Mr. Irsay. When I would go back to the building, the coaching staff, which is Pagano and Grigson, right, and they're new, and they didn't know me. I knew Bruce James, but I was just getting to know all those guys. I couldn't go to the back portion of the building, right, because Peyton's still playing. All my buddies are still playing, and that's how paranoid coaches and staffs are. So that to your point, any slight chance of anything passing just gets very uncomfortable in those settings.
Quickly on that, I wonder down the line, you just talked about the fact that the Bears now are in the crosshairs of that. Do they start to say, you know what, I don't want to make Caleb Williams available for your broadcast team to talk. My head coach, he's not going to go talk Ben Johnson. I wonder, does that come up when now teams are seeing that during a game?
We'll have to wait and see. It's not what we anticipated talking about this morning, but it clearly is the thing that everyone on social media was grasping onto. In an unrelated story, the Chargers right now might be the best team in the AFC West.
The most important.
We'll get back to that.